I'm Dave.
And I'm Mel.
And we are in Besthorpe, which is in South Norfolk, about 20 minutes or so from Norwich. We were on the point of giving up and just saying, well, maybe it's not meant to be, we'll just stay in St Albans. The very last house we saw was the one that we've now ended up buying, which we're extremely pleased about because it meets a lot of our current but also future needs.
Well, I watched Escape to the Country about 15 years ago and started to like some of the houses they were showing in the countryside. And we were living in St Albans at the time. It became busier and busier. We'd always had this dream, and we started coming up to Norfolk on mini breaks really with the dog. Great being all on one level. From a longevity point of view, I think that's just what we need. We won't need to move again.
Mel retired two and a half years ago,
yeah,
probably longer. So she's just been nagging me and waiting for me to retire. And so I officially retired the week before we moved.
Financial planning is such a broad church. It covers so many things. I don't think it does justice to what it actually encompasses. But when you talk about that move from working full-time or running a company, and then that being turned off as a switch, and then you stepping into this new world that you've never been in before, and you're of a certain age where you're thinking, okay, I now need to make the most of this time, but I've got this pot of money that really I don't like the idea of it falling in value, and I've never done this before. It's really underestimated. Financial planning and the foundations around the conversations and the tools come together to try and enable people just to make the best of that situation. And I think when they do dream big, test, challenge, push against it and see what's possible, they're normally surprised by actually what they can achieve.
When you're then saying, well, can we have X per month and it's coming out of our pot, you start to worry, well, is our pot big enough, you know? And I think Casey and the TFP team are able to reassure us that actually, A, this is normal, and B, this is what you should be doing because, you know, your investments are accumulating, you know, some interest or whatever. So you need to be spending some money. And we've had conversations where Casey's saying, you're not spending enough money. And we're sort of looking at ourselves and saying, really? I think you've got to go with the flow. You've got to understand that the plan is there and that everything's been put together to make your life relatively easy. I don't need to think about work. Every day is like, well, what are we going to do today? Which could be we're going to do a do nothing day, or it could be we'll drive up to the beaches, or go to the villages, find a new pub, whatever it may be.
I've met friends really easily, much more easily than I thought I would. And so we've sort of got a group going and we meet up for lunches. We're going out this Friday.
When people talk about their dreams or itches that they want to scratch, they'll describe it in different ways. I think Dave's book's a great example of that, something that really he wanted to get across the line. And it felt like that was a defining moment. Once that was done, it allowed, if we talk about the domino effect, maybe that domino to fall, but kind of seeing people actually achieve those things. And it can be a book, it can be a travel adventure, it can be a house. But once those things are kind of ticked off the list, they can kind of lead to other things and be surprised by what follows.
There's always the expert amateurs who think I can do it myself. I worked in financial services for 24 years. And the first thing we needed to do was to get an advisor to do it because there are things that you don't know about. People always say, oh yeah, but you've got fees to pay. Well, that's fine. That's part of the package. It's just a very short-term view. If you think that you're expert enough to be able to wheel and deal and to do that, A, I haven't got the time, B, I'm not interested, and C, somebody else can do it who knows things more in depth than I do.